Good morning, it's George Hudson. Joined with me is my buddy Robbie Colbreth. We got a great episode today, episode 18. Wake up, we're dying. Wake up, we're dying to wait. It's good to see you guys here. If you're watching live, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. Tell us where you're tuning in from. And Robbie, how you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing great. Good to see you, man. You look good. And I know you right there by that beach, so you're probably gonna jump on the beach when you're all done here, which is cool stuff, man. I'm wonderfully jealous because my beach is the heat out here in AZ, and you're in Florida, man, and we're killing this game, baby. We're killing the game, so I'm loving it. Hey, we got a fresh topic today. I'm really excited about this topic. I hope it's going to be a blessing for a lot of people. And this wake up, we're dying to wait. You're going to get the feel of this in just a few minutes, what it's really all about. And hopefully it's going to bring some revelatory truth to you, give you an opportunity to unhinge and detach from some stuff that literally is killing you, that you are sleeping on right now in your existence. I know there are times when we go into a conversation like this, people don't want to hear about scripture or don't think you're always moving about God or this, that, and the other. But there are different kind of gods out here in this world that people are ascribing to. So I'm not ashamed of mine. But I'm going to share something with you that's very powerful, very fruitful. It says, anything that becomes visible is light. Therefore, it says, awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Wake yourself, stand up. So think about this for a minute. Waking up. Have you ever felt that you want to live before you die? That kind of sounds kind of crazy. You want to live before you die, but it's not crazy at all because some people are sleepwalking. I think it's like a spiritual zombieism where we're sleepwalking into somebody else's dreams. We're living out somebody else's realities. We're under somebody else's prescription for life. And we don't oftentimes find our own meaning. We don't oftentimes really experience our own happiness and triumph in our own truth that doesn't hurt. There's some truths that hurt. There's some aspects of growth and development. They're going to hurt, but there's some aspects of growth and development that hurts just because of who we are, and what we're doing. A lesson that we live doesn't always have to connotate a shame that precedes it or comes after it. The reality is that if we're living a truth and that truth causes us shame, if we're living a type of truth that causes us to blame, if we're living a type of truth where relationships emerge just for sordid gain, then we're not in the right spot that we want to be in. And so we need to wake up to a different type of reality. We need to find ourselves a different type of truth. And so if you guys are in agreement with some of that, man, I want you to throw up some of those thumb things and I want you to throw up some of those like things and make sure, you throw some emoji stuff up in there so we can connect, man, because I want you guys to give me some feedback on this. Wake up, we're dying to wait. Right, we're dying away as a civilization. We are dying inside of our dreams. We have dreams, we have aspirations, and so many people are dying and they never experience those things. We're crippled in our own waiting. We worship fear and we castigate faith while we kick truth out into the streets and we shame truth when we should be shaming other stuff in our lives and getting rid of it. Wake up. We're dying to wait, waiting for the day we awaken to challenge and destroy every negative universe we've discovered and planted our own doing. We have a responsibility to bust that up. We have a responsibility to get rid of our old nature and create a culture that allows for us to properly execute anything that is stopping us from moving forward. There should be a burial and there should be an expectation that we move on from this type of reality. Time is the only commodity that we can waste and never get back. We wasted in our overthinking. We wasted in bowing down to the worship of our fears. We wasted by staying in the valley of decision. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm thinking I'm going to accomplish this. I'm thinking I'm going to accomplish that. We wait for all of the lights to be green before we actually proceed moving forward. I was telling somebody just a couple of weeks ago, and they were in this valley of decision over something. And they said, well, I've been thinking about this for several years to do this. I said, well, what are you still waiting on? Well, I wanted to see if this would happen. I wanted to see if that would happen. And so I told him, and in a nutshell, I was like, hey, check this out. You know what I mean? You've got to move, and you've got to be comfortable in moving before all of your lights are green, right? Because the first light that's green, that's good. That's a great indicator for you to go ahead and start. And if you're just looking down the road and you see that light's red down the road, if you just start, it could be by the time you get down the road, that light is already turning green, or the first several lights are already green. You see a red light way down the road. We got to get into the habit of not always looking to find every single light green. In fact, sometimes we're progressing when we see the light as yellow, and we're still progressing sometimes when things are just red. The light is red. The light has to be red for a reason. Sometimes we need to stop. We need to park, and we need to listen and observe and pay attention to the transformation and the things, the guideposts that are right there before us, because to proceed sometimes may mean something dangerous for us. But to stop and to adjust and to allow might mean something very powerful. I'm gonna say this part right here, and I want George to jump in and give us some nuggets on his take on this. I want to tell you something. Authentic people actually go through hell. You got to catch this, guys. Brilliant people go through hell. Hell never relents in its attack. However, when you get to this place that you wake up, you realize you're an overcomer. Authentic means you recognize that what you're doing has become stale. That means that some parts of our lives are just dormant, they're stale, they're dead. It no longer works. It's got to be removed. However, you keep on pushing in that old mode, that old ego, you're bound to hurt somebody. You're bound to hurt yourself. You're bound to cripple your inner culture of progress, of overcoming. And it's going to cause for some type of abandonment. It's going to cause for a whole bunch of excuses to emerge, and a language of defeat, and a language of fear, and a lifestyle of isolationism, and a lifestyle of shame and guilt. And you'll start to allow for shame and guilt and isolationism to destroy who you really are, to destroy your forward progress. But it's time for us to wake up, to abandon this madness, to embrace first the madness of what it is that's constricting us, and the fears and the shame and the blame that's stopping us. We start it and make it obey us instead of allowing it to be our life. Examine the weakness and all the surprise attacks and all the tricks that come along with this type of mindset, and get rid of it. It's time for us to awaken. It's time for us to awaken, because when we're not awake, something in us is actually dying. George, talk to me.
I love this episode because like it's just so paramount to your success and where you're going in life. Is like you have to maintain this conscious awareness of where you're at, what your goals are, wake up, like focus. Like focus is the biggest thing that causes people to become successful or unsuccessful. And we live in a world of so much distraction. And if you don't focus and know what you're doing and why you're doing it, it can cause you to be in this like sleepwalking state that you mentioned.
Yeah.
I love the imagery of the stoplight. Like you can imagine every stoplight as an opportunity in life. And that opportunity is paramount to getting you to where you want to go in life. If it's buying a home, a stoplight can be meeting with a realtor.
That's
or
right.
The next stoplight can be looking at a home. The next stoplight can be applying for a loan, and then all these other things. So you have to go in this sequential order sometimes, that you have to accomplish these tasks. And when you're going towards the stoplight, it might be red, but you have to sit there and wait for that stoplight to turn green and be ready to push the pedal.
That's
and,
it.
and execute on that opportunity to move through it, to succeed in your goal, and keep moving down the line to get to the destination that you're going to. So, you can't get to the stoplight and be like, that looks cool over there. Maybe we should go
Yeah.
that way in life,
Yeah.
and you can get distracted, and things can pull you in different directions, and they're going to. No one is that successful, or even no one in life goes undistracted.
That's right.
Whether you're aimlessly wandering in the desert or you have a pinpoint fixed goal, like distractions will come for you, and they will distract you if you let them. If you're not focused on who you are and what you're going towards, you can easily find yourself out in left field in a
That's
heartbeat.
right.
So kind of the main point of this episode is, you got to re-hone in on what you're doing and why you're doing it and the things that are important to you. And you have to make energy and time for the things that are those objective stoplights in life. And
100%.
you have to be focused and ready to go when the opportunity comes, because, a lot of people say like, oh, you're the luckiest person, or you can say that someone's lucky, but luck doesn't really exist in my opinion. It's when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be ready to go at the moment. And that's what we talked about in our past episodes. Like, time matters. You have to be ready at that moment in time to execute at that like phase in life with that person, with that business deal, whatever it is. Like, time is kind of what revolves around, or what we all revolve around. And, if you're not ready to go at a specific moment, that's fine. You can hang out at that stoplight because it's going to turn green again. It's going to go green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, and the different people might be at that opportunity.
That's right.
And that might be a different opportunity at a different place, but like, that opportunity is going to pop up again. It's just whether or not you're going to be ready for it when it comes back around.
And you have to know whether or not the conditions are the same, because it can come back, but the conditions can be different. And that's why when you operate in the moment and you allow for things to occur in the moment because you're awake, everything that exists at that time in that moment is for that time, and it's for that moment. If you allow it to go away, now everything that was purposed at that time, it has shifted and it has changed. Here's a munchable. Get your ready on. Get your ready on, man. You got to be prepared. You didn't put in all this work. You didn't put in all this planning and education for you to come to the moment and then allow for weakness and allow for shame and guilt and allow for a fear to continue to minister to you. No, you don't need that anymore. That had its time and its purpose, and it had its own purpose. That's all I can say. But this is why we're dying to wait, because we got to wake up. Now is the time. Years ago, I had some buddies, and we had a little thought group, mastermind group, and we was talking about we're entering into this age of Aquarius. And in this age of Aquarius is information age. And we started to say to ourselves, in this age, there's going to come a time where people are just going to start dropping dead because they cannot handle everything and all the information flow that's going to be existing in this age. Information is going to be flowing through our bodies. We can't feel or see the information. Matter of fact, we're transmitting right now. This is information. This is technology. It's a flow. There's some other words, there's some other energy that's moving right now. And so people that want to stay caught in how things used to be and not allow for parts of what's happening to serve us for our benefit and our own good, they're just going to drop dead because they can't handle the nuances. And I'm not saying to jump off into every little nuance that comes along, because you have to understand your purpose, your focus, your meaning for life. But what I am saying is you have to understand that you have to get your ready on, because you have to be willing and able to allow for information and for content to flow so you can harness it and it can serve you, so that you can wake up to your dreams. And now your dreams are no longer dreams, but now they become a reality. And now you can cause for this reality to serve you best for the time that it needs to serve you. If you haven't realized, everything in life, it goes, it grows, it ebbs, and it flows without shame and guilt. As soon as you start hitting yourself with stuff from the past and what you could have done and your old time readiness that you let pass by, then guilt and shame starts emerging. And when those things start to emerge, you start canceling out all the goodies. You start canceling out all the uniqueness. You start canceling out all the awesomeness, the effectiveness of what you actually could have been. Now you're going back to sleep. And then you start thinking about, well, maybe the timing wasn't right, or maybe this isn't good, or maybe isn't that this, that, and the other. You can come up with a whole lot of maybes, but when you get your ready on, you understand that, hey, I'm supposed to be served by new information that's going to help me get better. And George and I, before the broadcast, we were just talking about concepts. How do we make this broadcast better? How do we get you guys to subscribe more and then go get other people to subscribe to the Savage Will, so you can get unhinged and you get untethered and you can start realizing some of your dreams? That's our focus. and we start thinking about new ideas and technology that can help us broadcast better, make the sound quality better, the whole 9 yards. In other words, there's more stuff that can make what we do better. And we want to look at what we can do and make it better so it's better for you guys. Make sense? And so that's how life is. Now, if we try to think that we got it all together and there's no improvement that needs to be made, and it's something else that's happening and focusing on, then we can get locked into that old lockstep, shame, guilt, blame, fear, all that kind of madness will start to emerge and we won't grow. But because we're in the ebb and the flow, we're in the grow and we're in the going, everything is serving us the right way to open up greater doors so that we can push the message forward so that more people can be unhinged, untethered, and can find the tentacles that are holding them to their past, that are holding them to guilt and shame, and the barriers and the walls that are built up that keep them confined. They can't get out. And so they can't realize some of this thing that is sitting there waiting to serve them. So here's about 6 words for you. You have to own your stuff. When you wake up, man, as you're awakening, you got to own your stuff. It's kind of like this. I'm gonna say this. I want to get George back in here. Like the weekly garbage, you can throw some stuff out. You got to get your garbage, man. You got to start filling up your garbage can, and you got to start emptying some of this stuff that no longer serves you, right? Because you know you are destined to do something great. You are destined to do something awesome. If you have that inkling on the inside of you, let it serve you. Let it give you the things, the ingredients, the stuff that you need, man, so that you can wake up to it. There's brilliance and genius in every single human being. And you're not limited by anything but the fear of not being able to accomplish it, fear of not having enough resource, fear of not knowing enough people, fear about this, fear about that. And then I did this in my life, or I did that in my life, shame, guilt. And those things start to erode and destroy the greatness that lives on the inside of you. Give that stuff a break, man. Give it a rest. You're amazing. And your amazingness is ready to get going. And you've got to unhinge. And here's how this is my process that I have to use sometimes. I'll invite you into my process. It's mine, so it may or may not work for you. Here's my process. In order to get out of my stuck places, this is my process. This is my process improvement and process implementation strategy. Lord, show me. That's mine. You can do whatever you want to do. That's your dig. Here's my dig. Lord, show me. And when he begins to show me because of my prayer life, he begins to show me because of my honesty and my relationship with him. When he begins to show me, whatever is messed up, whatever is wrong, I allow that information, that fear, that shame, all the crippling bully assaults that come from those areas. I allow for him to reveal those to me. And here's what I've learned. I don't make excuses about them. I don't try to explain them, and I certainly don't try to live them again. I say, Lord, you can have all of this. I'll let you in on my part. You can do your own part. Hey, tell me something. What do you do? What's your strategy for emptying your garbage out? Write it out. Shoot it out there, man. Let us know. George, rap to me, baby.
I love it. The biggest thing you said that pointed out to me is taking ownership of your life. I don't know anyone that's achieved like a high level of success that doesn't do this well. A lot of people kind of hit on this, but you got to stop making excuses for why you are where you're at in life, and come up with the understanding that you are where you are because of your decisions that have gotten you thus far. Like, sure, your parents put you into this world in a certain status in a certain area, but it's your job to change that if you don't like it. And complaining does nothing. So you can't just sit here and say, well, it's because so-and-so, my friends, or I haven't gotten the opportunity. Everyone gets opportunities. It's just whether or not we're ready to go at the light when they turn green. So, and you have to take ownership of, well, hey, maybe I don't have the skills and I didn't capitalize on that opportunity when it presented itself. Okay, great. Don't get mad about it. Don't be like, well, I'll never be this, or, I just can't be successful because I'm not a great speaker, or I can't be successful like this person because they're just better than me. Well, that person has worked on their craft for a long time, and all you see is the result. So you got to get out of that victim mentality that you're stuck where you are because of external forces.
That's
You're
right.
stuck where you are because you haven't decided to get up and move. And yeah, there's resistance, but everybody has resistance.
Resistance is good for you.
And there's something that you're gifted at that's, that you can apply your skills towards, that you have to hone in on your craft to really excel at it, but you can do it. Like, everyone has something that they can achieve greatness in whatever category, if they're willing to put in the time, the effort, and enjoy the process of working on your craft, getting better, marketing the skill, presenting value to other people, and so forth. Like, you know, and that's the big thing, is you want to find a marketable skill that you can present value to other people. And one big thing that I really like to hit on, and I'm all for like people getting an opportunity, but like you have to do the work and be ready
Put your
when
work
the
in.
opportunity comes. And your excuse can't be, well, my past, and I didn't get the opportunity, or I didn't have the launching point that other people have had, because that gets you nothing.
Nothing.
All you do is just complain. Like, so and this is a hot button topic, but the Biden forgiving some of the student loans right now is, part of the issue is people went and got degrees and took loans out for degrees that weren't marketable skills at the moment. That's part of the issue.
Yep.
Whether or not we should or shouldn't forgive student loans is a different topic. But like, part of the reason that people are in a bind is because they went out and got a marketable skill, or an unmarketable skill. It was a
Yep.
skill that doesn't translate to the business market. And they didn't understand that when they went and purchased that product, and it all falls back on the consumer who's purchasing the product that flopped, that wasn't a marketable trait, it wasn't a marketable skill. So the easy thing is to sit here and blame the system that, well, America says you can go to college, get a good job, and make a lot of money. Well, no, that's not necessarily how the system works. The system works on a free market principle, that if there's enough consumers for a given product, then that product does well. If the supply, is able to meet the demand, then, it's all about economics and supply and demand. And do the people want it? Is there a need? There's not always a need for a million sociology majors,
Right.
unless you're willing to, get your doctorate and then, double major in psychology and study people groups, and like, elevate yourself above everyone and anyone that gets just an average sociology degree. So then you can apply some skill that's above the herd, basically.
So this is hot, man. I like where we're going right here with this thing, man. If this thing is touching you, man, go ahead and drop a power emoji. Throw some things up like this, like arm muscle emojis or something like that. Throw up some heart things. Throw up some of those other things. Check this out. This is a munchable. Create your launch point. This is something that really what George is hitting at right now. Create your own. Silence the noise of your old habits and the death dealers you gave power to over your emotions, your thoughts, your action, your lifestyle, and your speech. Get rid of those death dealers, man. They're done. Take your power back. Then take their power from them. Now, how do you do that? The first thing I think you need to do, number one, is understand word power. You got to understand the power of words, because when you speak a thing, whatever you say and whatever energy's behind it, negative, positive, whatever's behind that, whether you understand those words or not, they are a force and they start to create. Number two, confront your insecurities. This is the biggest reason why we're dying to wait, because we have so many insecurities in our current life that were fostered by whatever our environment was, whatever language we were listening to from the environment we were in, whatever our self speak. We have to own this, and we have to confront our own insecurities, because we have insecurities and they're attached to certain words. So when we hear certain words, we're queued up for a response. When we hear certain words, we're triggered for a reaction. And when we hear certain words, we're going to react or respond. That's called the reward. So we've got to get understanding about what our cues are, what our triggers are, and what our reward system is going to be. And if it's been negative and it's not getting us where we need to go, we need to change those things. That's confronting your insecurities and understanding the power and the mix of your words and what they do. Then we got to change our habits. Changing your habits, what does that mean? It's an acronym. You guys know I play in the acronym garden. Here's what's in the garden. Here's the word habits. Here's what it means. H is for habits itself. The word habits. How is it constructed? Why did you construct it? And if it's not serving you, deconstruct it. A is for attitudes. Man, what's your mindset around this thing? If you believe you're supposed to be successful and you think all of a sudden everything is going to be negative and you can't make it, deconstruct that business, man, and change your attitude, change your mindset. B is for behavior. How are you going to act now that you got this thing, you got this tool, you have this new reason, this new mindset, this new understanding. You understand that you have been tethered to something in your past, language that you didn't understand, insecurities that you gave birth to. Now you're aware of it. Now, how's that going to change your behavior? How's it going to line up with the new habits you must create and the attitudes that you must foster and the behavior that goes along with that? I is for inspiration. Man, listen. In my garden, I got tape series that I'm listening to. I got podcasts that I'm listening to, like Savage Will 1111. Go tell somebody about it. Subscribe. Get 3 people to do the same thing. That's what's up, baby. But I'm trying to tell you something. I listen to things that are inspirational, right? I listen to gospel music. I listen to jazz, man. I listen to the word and I read the word. What's your inspiration? What moves you? Man, I listen to George, man. That's my dude right there, dude. I listen to this cat, man. I listen to our old broadcast and I'm like, I might pick up a glory nugget out of this joint and it might serve me well. Then the T is for truth. What is your truth? I know what my truth is. I know what my truth is centered. I know who my creator is. And I stabilize inside of that, right? So you find your own truth and then live out your truth, right? Whatever you're going to create, whatever you're going to become, that's your truth. Live it out and live it out with power. Then S is for stability. Man, in that stability, I'm sustainable to this truth. Watch this, though. In my sustainability and in my stability, S for stability, in that S, I have the responsibility to examine where I am on a frequent and often basis so that I can make sure I have not allowed for anything to invade my life and start a disruptive and destructive force to stop me and hinder me from my forward progress. I'm responsible in my stability to be sustainable and also to be able to watch over what it is I'm doing and where I'm supposed to be going to. I want to give you a munchable. Understand word power. Word power is manifest in how people live through their thoughts, action, and speech. Out with the old, in with the new, but you have at times a responsibility to change your game. Watch this. I'm going to give you this, George, and I want you to jump in. Check this out. Sugar Shane Mosley, boxer, quite an accomplished record. He's in the Boxing Hall of Fame or will be soon. I used to like to watch him fight, right? And I was watching his last fight years ago. And in the middle of the ring, in the first round, boom, you could see the change of life hit him. And he just shifted. His body was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Change of life came on him involuntarily. He got pieced up right when that happened. You can see his body shifted, his countenance shifted. Dude pieced him up, but he couldn't knock him out. Here's what I found. I was just looking at that. Sugar Shane came back. He gave his commentary on it later. But here's what I found. Sugar Shane Mosley, in the way he was fighting to win that fight. He's a champion. He was fighting to win that fight. Associated with his skill set and his preparation for winning that fight was everything he knew about winning and everything he knew about that fighter and all the fears that were associated. If I get caught with this and I get caught with that, it could do this, that, or the other. He had all that program. But watch this. When that change came, boom, and he got pieced up. He got hit with everything that he knew could hurt him and stop him in the fight and get him knocked out. He knew. But because the change came in his place, it came in voluntarily. Because it came in voluntarily, all the stuff that was called fear, all the stuff that would cause for worry and shame if he lost the fight, if he got knocked out, it went out the door. He even said at the end of the fight, When this change took place in me in the fight, I said to myself, I just want to finish the fight. The boy couldn't knock him out. He gave him his best, but his mindset changed. His mindset changed and said, I'm going to finish this fight. And that boy couldn't knock him out. So he finished the fight where his life shifted. Sometimes the things that we do, it's going to change. It's going to shift. We're going to know the end has come. The old is out. The new has come and has arrived. You've been preparing for it. And sometimes it can be aggressive like that. Last night was watching Serena Williams. I was just watching this her journey right here, her transition. And she was in the middle of that second round. They trading, going back and forth, boom, 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 where they tied. And there was a shift that occurred. And in that shift, her countenance changed, her eyes changed, right? And there was a certain realization that came. But in that realization, this champion of champions, this one that has rewritten the game, she said, if you want this, you're going to have to come and earn this. And so that the new champion over her in that particular contest, Aja, she brought everything she could in her youthfulness and everything else. She brought everything she could, but here's what she found out. 29, facing 40, getting ready to turn 41. The reason why that fight or that contest couldn't be ended any sooner is because the champion decided, you know what? I'm going to make this person earn the right to win this match. But I'm already a champion, and I'm teaching right now, and the greatest teachable moment that I can give to that person, something that they may take away and win multiple championships with. It takes the heart of a champion to endure when you know the old season's over, but you already realize that a new season has just begun, but you've got to complete your work where you are. Finish it, finish strong, and then go into something new. Man, George, you got to get in this, man. You got to understand your word power, and you got to understand its impact on your thoughts, your actions, and your speech, because it's going to manifest, and sometimes it's going to come and interrupt what you're doing and why you're doing it, because it wants to give you the reward of the work you put in and the time you put in. You just got to be ready for it.
I love that. It's just one of the things you hit on was focusing on the work where you're at. And we can't have this peripheral view affect our actions and like where we are in our mission. I can't sit here and see like a Brian Page that's uber successful in the Airbnb industry and say, well, I want his results, but with me not wanting to put the work in. I have to sit and focus on what do I need to do to just get one, and then move into 2, and then 3, and then 4 Airbnbs. And then I'm going to have my head down doing all that, focusing on contacting landlords, looking at properties, doing such and such, like having the right furniture. Is the picture at the right angle? Are we marketing this well? And then one day I'll look up and I will be a Brian. I'll be an expert in the industry, but I can't have that today because I haven't put the work in at point B, C, and D to get to Z. Brian is already in like another alphabet, and
he's starting
I'm still in the English alphabet. He's like over in whatever. But the point is, I have to have that conscious awareness of, okay, where do I need to start? Where can I plug in? Where am I lacking? What do I need to remove in my life to make room for the new, and then move forward from there? So I want to hit back on the student loan thing. And I say, like I made the comment about the concept of it because it's not about political views. It's not about, well, should college be free or not? It's about understanding the system we live in and having a conscious awareness of how we can leverage it to become successful. The people that are complaining about student loans, yeah, the system's flawed, or systems always have flaws, but ultimately they have to take responsibility over the fact that they chose a degree that wasn't going to market them to make over $125,000. Therefore, they're in need of that student loan relief. There's people that took out loans that are making more money, doing engineering or doctor work or, some business of some variety. that are making that money that don't need it, and they're paying off their loans. But like, and they're not in a financial pickle. So it'd be like if I wanted to start a banana stand and no one liked bananas, but I'm gonna go and do it anyways, spend the money, the time, get the gas, have a little banana truck, and even make like banana smoothies, but no one's coming up and buying bananas
Right
or
on.
banana smoothies. So that's just like understanding the system we live in. You have to have that marketable trait and be able to learn and adapt and be like, well, no one likes bananas, so I'm gonna switch to apples. Everyone loves apples. Now I get another apple truck. I can get like 3 or 4, have other people running it, managing it, and then I'm a business owner, and then I can go and do whatever, right? So it's about understanding and becoming conscious of the system that we live in. Sure, systems can change, but like I'm gonna thrive in the one we have now.
Yep.
That, and I'm not just gonna sit and complain about how it sucks and do nothing about it, right? I'm gonna make it out on top regardless of what system we are in, and that's just because that's the mentality I have. It's not because I'm inherently great. It's because I choose to act and move forward, and I'm choosing to learn and grow. Like everyone has that capability. It's not that
That's
I
right.
have something that other people don't. It's just the will to act on it and then capitalize on what we do have.
This is hot stuff, man. So when I look at that, it gives me several different thought processes. The actions of the good and the wise are contrasted with the deeds of the foolish and evil people. Listen, if I'm taking wise and good actions, then the fruit of my labor is going to be matched. If I'm taking the evil approach and the foolish approach, it's going to be matched. We need to emphasize the need for honest and wise word choice. We have to understand what we're saying and what we're putting down on paper and what we're planning, because it's going to have a yield. For example, riches gotten by doing wrong have no value, but right living will save you from death. If I look at what George just finished saying, if I go out and I get a non-marketable skill, at the end of the day, I've got debt that's crippling and strangling the ham sandwich out of me, and I'm not going to get the yield that I need. So I'm always going to need relief, and I'm going to make a demand on somebody somewhere to give me relief. Otherwise, I'm not going to endorse them in context. However, if I have a marketable skill and it allows me to make 6-figure, 7-figure income annually, 8-figure, 9-figure income annually, then I don't have the same interests as the person that has a non-marketable. And so my mindset is going to say to me, I'm not interested in that right there. I'm interested in tax breaks because I'm making this big bread right here and I'm making these other things. And so now my interests are in competition against your interests. That's not necessarily good and evil, but it's choice. So it creates a good and evil scenario. Here's another one. Watch this. A lazy person will end up poor, but a hard worker will become rich. Hey man, you work harder and smarter, you're going to earn and you're going to become wise. You got to put work in. You got to learn from people that have been good at what they're doing, great at what they're doing, excellent and phenomenal at what they're doing. Take some of their stuff and make it work with your uniqueness so that you can go ahead and advance. But if you sit around and your hind is always talking about what you're going to do and who you're going to do it with, and you never make a move, that's a laziness. You got a lazy ball on you. So you're not supposed to be rewarded with anything good just because you had a great thought. So what? There's so many great thoughts that are in the graveyard today. They never manifested. They never did anything with them. Or those who gather crops on time are wise, but those who sleep through their harvest are disgraced. Man, that stuff right there is real talk, man. The power of words. Listen, if you're in your harvest season right now, for some of you that are listening to us right now, you're in a harvest season. There's something you have been waiting on, and now it's come to fruition. It is manifesting. It is time for you to continue to move forward in that thing, and it is going to yield you great benefit, great reward. But if you detour and take the wrong turn right now, when you put in so much time, effort, and work, where you are for this harvest, you're going to miss your harvest. And it's going to be disgraceful. And then all of the things you work for, everything that you have been looking for it's just going to go bye-bye. It's going to be like a bird with wings. You're trying to grab it and it's going to shoot over and you just keep missing, keep missing, keep missing. So we've got to become more sensitive to our words. So our words can also be our direction. Our words can also heal us. And our words can also lead us lifestyle that we absolutely need. Here's a munchable. This is a munchable process. Transformation is good. Transformation is good. Get your A game together. write this down. Here's what the A stand for: align. You have to align yourself with people that have been there. Adjust. You have to adjust the way you think. Attitude. Get the right kind of attitude, mindset around what you're going to do. Awareness. You have to become aware of your surroundings and aware of what you are and what you want to be and what it takes. Action. Do it. Do the work. The results, you're going to get achievement. You can achieve possibly anything you put your mind to. Then you adapt to a winning mindset. You feed it. You affirm it. You surround yourself with a new support group that lives and is morphing just like you into this A team. You understand? And then you enjoy the process. Then you begin to love the process. Then you begin to learn the process. Then you begin to trust the process. Then you begin to live the process. You've activated. And once you activate, man, it's all over. It's a wrap. Here's another munchable: process improvement and process implementation strategy. Have a rapid response mindset for hearing, for new habits, for my response code. I'm in that season of my life right now, right? That life part where you start taking back your power, where you address the flaw. And my favorite process adjustment statement is, Lord, show me me. This is that ultimate process improvement, right? It reveals who, what, where, how I am presently. I don't try to debate it. I just release it by saying, Lord, you can have this. I don't try to relive it. I don't try to re-understand it. I don't try to change the output, the outcome, because it's already done. You can have this. I don't make excuses. I don't try to explain. I don't try to relive. It's over. My cancel code says, Lord, you can have this. So I cancel out that code that was holding me back, because for process improvement and process implementation, I have to understand my whys. And the only why I need to understand is, why am I not progressing? Lord, show me me. Here it is. You can have this. Done. So that's opening the door for process improvement. In one part of my life, I'm a project manager, process improvement dude. Right? I can go in and look at things. I can find outliers. I can address cross-stream impacts, upstream, downstream, cross-stream impacts, right? Have the ability to intentionally look at non-intentional impacts on systems, look at what cross-pollination does to certain applications and what those associated impacts are. I uncover the whys, right? And then I find solutions, implement the solutions, create rapid response teams and SME teams, subject matter experts, and then create. My process is always included an intentional break in the process every 90 days. Why? Because whatever I start today is based on the resources I have for right now. It's based on the human resources. It's based on the financial resources. It's based on my current understanding of whatever it is. So my human and my system and my money, it has to be adjusted. I adjust it every 90 days. I don't break the entire system, but I adjust it. I'm sharing that with you because we're in a wake-up season, I believe, in the world, right? The world just told us in a wake-up call in the news this week, by 2035, 2040, so much of an aggressive more percentage of this whole nation has to be in electric cars and have to be on electric, solar, other forms of energy. And so that means other things are going to be going out the door. If we don't make the adjustment, we're not going to meet the time, right? If we don't have the right kind of cars, then the expense of what we currently have on fossil fuels is just going to increase. What are you going to do, right? So you've got to be prepared to make certain adjustments or not. And if you don't make the adjustments, whatever comes, you have to deal with. So you have to have a plan on what you're going to do in that context. So in our context right here on this 90-day plan, my process improvement, my process implementation is adjust, because things are adjusting rapidly. I've got to be prepared for it. But my core, my principle is set unless I find a flaw in that ointment. And I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of the flaw. I got to get rid of the fly. I got to get rid of the fail points. And I've got to make that adjustment. Why? Because I intend to win. George, jump in. I know all that rhyme. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but that kind of worked out.
Dude, there was a lot there. You mentioned the electric vehicles. That might be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, man.
Interesting. Just a lot of interesting things going on. But basically, the gist of what you're saying is we have to wake up and take control of what we can control, and then kind of just not focus on the things that we can't. I always I've had some great coaches in my life, like just from like all the way down to seventh grade, that I feel obviously were in my life for a purpose, and they were there to teach me something. I guess I don't know if they saw something in me, but I have had several coaches pull me aside and just want to, you know, educate and coach me and walk me along in life and tell me like, hey, you keep doing these things. Like, here's some things you can improve on, but these things that you're doing right here, is, successful people don't have those traits.
Mhm.
We have to do the same thing with ourselves and sit ourselves down, like you mentioned last episode. Sit like little Robbie down or sit little George down and just say like, what am I doing that's destructive and preventing me from getting where I need to go?
Yep.
And you have to gain that conscious awareness and that understanding and limit that and have the self-discipline and control to limit that behavior to get yourself to where you want to go. Like there's just certain things that you can't take with you. You have to make room for the new self and the new person, and you have to say like, okay, what would my future self who's successful in X category, how would they handle this situation? And you have to take that to every situation you're in, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation. If you go to a social event, it's like, how would, 6, 7, 8 figure George handle this situation versus, 5 figure George, right? And money is always an interesting thing because people get weird about it. They don't want to talk about money, and money is just kind of a private matter. And that's fine, if for people that don't want to talk about it. But like I like talking about money because I want to have more in my life. And I don't make money this main thing of, this main metric of success. No, I'm not saying money buys happiness, but it can buy me 98% of my time back to go and address the things that will make me happy. I can't
100%.
I can't truly achieve my purpose in this life if I don't have some financial flexibility. People want to get mad and like run from like making more money, and they say it's evil. Well, no, the for the love of money is evil. Like prizing it over everything else is evil. Um, you
That's that
know,
mindset about words that I was talking about, how your words can mess you up. Hit that, George.
Exactly. And your words are important and your self-talk is really important. And you can't beat yourself up when you make mistakes. You just have to tell yourself that, okay, I'm conscious of the mistake I'm making and I'm doing everything I can to not let it happen again. I'm the type of person that grows from my mistakes. I'm the type of person that learns from my mistakes. I'm the type of person that limits my mistakes. Like you have to start to introduce that language into your mind instead of this, I just can never do that. Like, why can I never do that? No,
Right.
because those words have weight, and the more you tell yourself, "I'm always the type of person that does X," you're gonna do it, good or bad, because that's what you're putting your focus on,
Your
rather
words.
than you're not making room for improvement. And you know, one of the
Words have life.
one of the best things that like someone's told me is in order to be interesting, you have to be interested. So
Yeah.
you have to be interested in the people around you. Like say you go to a social event with a lot of influence, a lot of money, a lot of whatever, a lot of people with skills and marketable traits that you're looking after. You're trying to find that mentor. You
Yeah.
have to provide some sort of interest and value to get their interest to say therefore you're worth their time to invest in
100%.
whatever education, whatever growing, letting them in your life, introducing them to their family, like that sort of thing, and then learning what it's like to be successful in a specific category. You have to be already attempting things. You have to take action even in when you lack perfection or greatness in the craft. No one's perfect, but you have to move forward and show people like, hey, this dude's spending time, he's putting effort in. Even if he's running into the wall, someone's going to come in and help you if you're expressing that like, hey, this is important to me.
Yep.
I'm going to be successful no matter what, even if it takes 5 years of just running straight into a brick wall. But hey, right after on the 6th year, like if I run over that wall and the wall falls down, like, and I've made it to where I want in life, like, then it's worth it. People want to
That's a
see,
practical approach.
people want to see you sweating for what you want. They want to see you, just for example, this story comes up. I saw it on social media. It was Chris Rock made a
Yeah.
tweet or a post or something like that. And Chris, it wasn't like a comedic thing, but like comedians understand success. Like
Yep.
Joe Rogan understands it. Theo Vaughn understands it. Bill Burr understands it. Like they understand putting in the work and the honing your craft. And Dave Chappelle understands it.
Yep.
All of them do. And Chris Rock especially understands it because look at the dude. He's in movies. He's on stage. He's doing all sorts of things. He's hosting these events, and he basically his tweet or whatever said, people want to see you struggling to get what you're after. Not in a good way, not in a way of like, hey, that dude sucks. Like putting him down in nature. They want to see you struggling to what you want to get after in life.
That's
because
right.
then they'll come in and help you. And he said, for example, like when your car breaks down, if you get out and start pushing it, people are more likely to get out and help you push it because you're putting in that active effort, and then they can see where you're lacking and come in and help you. All right. So in life, if we're just okay with struggling and we're not doing anything about it, then no one's gonna feel inclined to come in and help us. So
That's a good point right there. And I think when you start that process, take your micro step first. The micro step, just confront you, and then amp up its size. And then the strengths and the weaknesses that are in you that you've been selectively choosing to follow, they'll become more apparent and more obvious. And then you can start rooting them out, literally rooting them out like you would a weed in your garden. Make sure you get to the tap root so that your thoughts, your actions, your speech, your whys become congruent with you winning, with you moving forward. And you become a unified thunder. And later you become a unified roar. You become more intentional about your transformation. I like what you were talking about specifically in terms of the audience, the people you want to be around. You're 100% correct. I remember some of my old bosses used to invite me out to events, and they would invite me out to the events, and they never told me who was at the events, but at the events were movers and shakers, people that were adept at building communities. Because I used to be in the mortgage banking game. Was vice president in helping in one division of mortgage banking, and that's land acquisition, etc. And they would invite me to these meetings, and at these meetings, there were these people, movers, shakers, people that means, power, influence, and money. And in order to get things done, you need to be connected with people with means, power, influence, and money. And I started just listening and stayed humble. And I listened to what these guys were telling me and listening to what these women were sharing with me. And I listened to how they project the future. And in that, it's always this long-term goal. And so I was listening to them, and they were saying 20 years, in particular, specifically, said Prince George's County, Maryland will be an international city in 20 years. And so they kept inviting me to these events, and then they had me go and stand in for them because this leader was a president, then the next leader became a president, and they would have me stand in at these Chamber of Commerce meetings. And I stand in at the Chamber of Commerce meetings in their stead because they were the president and conducted meetings. And so what they were doing intentionally was teaching me how to conduct affairs with people who are greater than you, who have more than you have, but you have to learn how to be comfortable and learn how to mature in those types of settings so that you can project an experience that someone can trust you with, so that they can then trust you with their plans. And the next thing I knew, they were inviting me to the country clubs, and they were inviting me out to the golf course. And I was meeting all these people, senators, and meeting governors, and meeting all kind of other people, Congress people. Just meeting all levels of people and builders and all this. 20 years later, Prince George's County is an international city. Now they're 30 years into it, but I watched the plan emerge. People with means, power, influence, and money, they're thinkers. They're long range. They consider all the different things that's going to happen. And they also consider unknowns, because in that 20 years, they couldn't script everything that was going to happen, but they were prepared in their script to understand that unknowns means you have to adjust. You don't become imprisoned to the law of the plan. You have a door where you can get unlocked, unhinged, close it, and continue to move in the principle of what you're trying to accomplish. So systematically and strategically, you have the outcome you were looking for. Your rewards will be there. And you also learn and unlearn what your cues and what your triggers and what your rewards are. Because if your cues are always to be in front, if your cues are always to be that person, when sometimes you need to be in the backdrop and learning, then your trigger is to be a justifier. And you'll start justifying yourself and justifying your existence, and that's unnecessary. So your reward is going to be combative. But when you understand who you are and what your role is, and you understand in 5 years or in 10 years, your role is going to change, and you're going to be that person that's going to be providing that same ways to somebody else. You adjust your cues. This is how you change a habit. This is how you break a habit. This is how you break off stuff that messes up your life. You will adjust your cue. What is that cue that gets you hyped up and then causes for your trigger response? So did you go into this negative vein, right? And then you reward it with your ballistic response. No, you got, once you learn those things and you sit them in front of you, you sit those things down. You make those things obey. You make those things stop by realizing, wait a minute, this is an opinion. This is deceitful. This is a verbal assault binding me from the target that I'm actually after. This is an opinion. This is a hand grenade that's been thrown in my face, and it's going to potentially blow up what I'm actually capable of doing. This is my insecurity. This is a microburst that has been launched, and it is a weapon, and I've got to stop it because I've got to change my habit. I need to look at my habits. I need to look at my attitude, my behavior, what my inspiration is, what my truth is all about, and form a different kind of stability and sustainability plan. I've got to re-examine these things. So here, I just want to give you this because our time is getting up. We're coming up on that time. Here's a munchable. A proverb a day will help keep depression away. Here's a munchable. George just said it. If you intend to be whatever, you need to get in the space with people who are doing whatevers, that are successful at it. And you need to learn from them. Here's a munchable. Stop setting yourself up. Leave your old truth. Grow and develop into your new truth. Create your new habits. Here's a munchable. Wake up, sleeper. Man, you've been sleeping on so much. You've got to be able to confront your junk. You understand? Get rid of your junk. Listen, so many human beings have PTSD of some sort. Your PTSDs are your nemesis. I'm not knocking that. I'm simply saying, if your PTSD is that you have to be right, if your PTSD is that you have to make a negative comment, if your PTSD is that you've got to hurt somebody's feelings and all things like that, you've got a problem, and it's going to stop your progressive self. It's going to create all kind of noise in your backdrop, and you're not going to be able to accomplish things that you want. Your rule of life is always going to be based on a negative cue, a negative trigger, and a negative reward response. You got to take back your power, man. You've got to be diligent about taking back your power and making sure that, hey, I am here to awaken. I'm going to be awake. I'm going to be conscious about the decisions that I'm making and the people that I'm allowing in my life. And I'm also going to be conscious about not allowing my life to go in 11,000 different directions where it'll affect me. I'm going to be this change agent, this agent of change and transformation. It's going to begin with me, and it's going to end with me. And I'm going to humble myself to go into the audiences of those that are doing it and know how to do it. And I'm gonna have my mouth shut, and I'm gonna have my learner on, and I'm gonna have my notepad going so that I can grab hold to some of these nuggets. and apply these nuggets to my life, just like a 6 to 8 week weight loss redistribution. Man, when I go on a 6-8 week weight loss, like I'm in the middle of it right now, I'm trimming up real good. That the habit that I had before, it allowed me to get to a certain place. The new habits that I have to go to the next phase of transformation, I've got to invoke them. I've got to get into that now, because the old stuff got me to that one spot. Now, the next 6 to 8 weeks where greater transformation is supposed to occur, I have to have something new. And I have to get it from someone that has done it and knows better. And then I've got to apply it to my life with a discipline and with a diligence. So even when I don't feel like it, I'm doing it, because it's not about my feelings. I have to manage my feelings. It's about my courage to address what I'm supposed to do, what I want to do, which I've committed my life to accomplishing, so that when I get to that end, not only have I been learning, getting more energy, becoming more astute to this journey, but now I'm able to teach this journey to somebody else. One day somebody's going to look up and it's going to be Robbie teaching like we're doing now. It's going to be George teaching like we're doing now. It's going to be you teaching like you might be getting ready to start to do. But you're going to lose your old cues, your old triggers, and your old rewards. You got to get rid of them, because there's a new you waiting to emerge, waiting to come forward. Listen, wake up. We're dying to wait. We're dying and waiting to see you, the real you, the powerful you, the accomplishing you, the manifesting you, the money maker, the mover, the shaker. It's in you. You just don't believe it is. We do. That's why we're Savage Will. That's why we come to you. George, talk to me.
I think one of the biggest things that prevents, or one thing that's like a major factor when people think about stepping out and achieving their, or chasing their dreams, stepping into the fear of the unknown, is the idea that you're not going to have opposition, and you're not going to, it's just like, I have to wait to be confident in what I'm doing. It's like the fear of what other people think cripples them, so they don't do it. And then they never take action because they think that everyone that's successful is just doesn't have or doesn't face that, like, fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. Like, I just saw an interview the other day, the quarterback for the Bills, I'm blanking on his name, probably going to be a soon to be Hall of Famer, like, down the road.
Yep.
Like, not maybe not like a Tom Brady, maybe not an Aaron Rodgers, but he could definitely step into that area if he elevated his game just a little bit.
Yep.
But he was talking about how he throws up before every game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this dude is he's a top tier quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And he still gets nervous. Like, he still gets anxiety. He's here setting, like, he's given the Bills life. They've had a great defense for a long time. What they've needed was a great quarterback and someone to craft the offense and put that together. And he's kind of that guy. And here he is throwing up before every game. He still gets nervous. He still has that outside voice that says, you're not good enough. The imposter mentality, like, who are you? You don't deserve to be here. Like, that whole thing, everyone has it. It's just the people that are successful, the people that, achieve greatness, they learn to get around it, and they just focus on what the good things that they can do. I work with a girl that I really enjoy talking with her and so forth. But, like, we had an assignment from our manager that, he was like, we're all going to lead different workshops, and, we're going to teach on something that we do well, and then something that we think we can get better at. And then her response was that she doesn't know that she does anything well. And my response was like, well, I don't know that you're really thinking about it, because you make sales every day, right? Mm-hmm. Just think about those calls. Like, what do you do well in that? And those sorts of things. But she was just letting the negative, the ones that she's lost, the sales where she didn't know how to combat the objection, she was just letting that take over her mentality. It was like more of a fear base than an abundance, like a growth base. So I love her. Like, I love talking to her. I love her energy. So it's not like a knock at her. I just want her to, like, grow through that. And, you see people do that everywhere else in life all the time. Is like, it's like the thoughts that occupy their mental space is just more of like the crippling, I'm not good at this, so I present no value to the world.
You're
And
going to get good when you're practicing what you're doing and you perfect your craft. Most people that are great at something have failed so many times, but they fail forward. They
right,
don't fail and stop.
yeah. So it's like one of those things is, um, sorry, somebody's knocking at the door right now. I don't know what's going on, but
No worries, man. Hey guys, we live, man. This thing is real. This
one of
is Sit
the
Back and Will.
one of the things about going live, man, is we're still in the real world. We're plugged into the internet, but we're in the real world. Robbie, take it over for a minute.
I
I
got it,
got
man. I got it. Listen, awake, awake, awaken. Listen. Isaiah 62:10. This is one of my favorite books. It says, go through the gates, prepare the way for the people, build up the highway, clear it of stones. Lift up a signal over the people, and they shall be called the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord, and you shall be called sought out, a city not forsaken. Listen what it says. Go through the gates. Listen, people, we are going to go through some stuff, and its purpose is to strengthen us. There is tension in our lives, there's tension in the world, but tension can build. If you ever lift weights, if you ever train, there's tension. You pick up dumbbells, you pick up kettlebells. There's a tension, but that tension is necessary to help build. It breaks down first and then it helps to build that muscle group, right? Prepare the way for the people. You've got to give a strategy and a plan. And so 3 walkaways for you guys. Listen, cue, triggers, and rewards. Find what your cue is, man, for success. We already know what your cue is for negativity. You know what it is. I don't know what it is. You know what it is. You know what the triggers are that set you off. Somebody says something to you a certain kind of way, with a certain kind of tone, with a certain type of opinion, whether it's intentional or not, and it's triggered. You're triggered. And then you give them the reward, whether you beat them up with your words. Please don't beat them up with your fists and stuff like that. But you have a response code, right? So when you know that you have a cue, you have a trigger, and you have a reward, change it, right? And don't make it, listen, insulate yourself from your insecurities. First, acknowledge your insecurities. I don't like when people have opinions of me. If you want to be great, people are going to have opinions of you. They're going to talk about you, and it may not always be good. There are some people in the world that are super great that don't listen to the opinions of other people because those opinions are restricting. They could become traps. So you got to go through the gates, prepare the way for the people. Prepare the people. I start with the people of my mind, my thought processes. Those are thoughts. Those are aggregations of thoughts. There's cities of thought processes, my thoughts. They create a city. They create what's called my truth. I have to reform those bad boys. I have to put governor on those bad boys. I got to find what accused and all the other stuff is that's limiting me. And I got to reset, reframe, and restart and refresh in all of these areas because it's important to me. That's work. You got to put your work in. Why? Because I want to build up, and I want to build up a highway. I want to build up a highway, and I want to clear the stones of stumbling out of my life. That doesn't mean I have to spend 5 and 10 years of my life in that area. When these things come up, and they will, because you've set yourself to purpose and you're intentional in your purpose. When you set yourself to purpose and you're intentional in your purpose, these things are going to manifest automatically because they realize they don't belong anymore. That's the power of thought. That's the power of words. And then you're going to get a signal over the thoughts, the peoples that are trying to infect or affect your life. And just like Lysol, you got to disinfect the negativity, baby. You've got to get it out of your life so that you can grow up and become something other amazing. George.
I love that. Kind of what I was just going to hit on before the guy knocked on the door was you just have to, you can't be stuck in the mentality that because you have so much to grow in and you have these big and long-term goals, you can't be stuck in the mentality that you have all this stuff to work on and that's all of who you are, right? What's going to set you apart is what's between your ears. And if a majority of it is bad, then you're not going to ever be able to make the strides you want to in life because you're just the fear of how big your goal is. You can't get bogged down by that. You just know, I don't know how, but I'm going to get there. Like
Get it.
you have to visualize that and know it's going to happen. And then you're like, okay, what do I do today that's going to put me in that direction? So if you go to these events, if you're trying to network and you're trying to do all these things, just like take a breath and know that like, hey, I'm going to present value. I'm going to try to do what I can to serve the people around me and so forth. So therefore you're not crippled by, well, I have so much to do and go for in life, then and it's like, how do I start? But we're gonna go ahead and wrap up today's episode.
Coach,
If
this
you're
was good
listening with
stuff
us,
today, man.
yeah, lots of great nuggets, lots of munchable takeaways, munchable moments. Um, we're gonna wrap that one up. If you're listening, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with 3 friends. We really appreciate it. We're trying to grow this thing, and stay tuned for next weekend's episode.
Hey, let's check us out on YouTube and also Savage Will on Instagram. We're throwing up some nuggets next week. We're going to start Monday through Thursday with Munchable Moments for 90 seconds. Talk to you soon, guys.
All right. Savage Will out.